It didn't take long for him to notice the two boys. Immediately, they became alert to what was happening. With a simple movement, the king unleashed a massive and destructive attack. Both of them had to quickly get out of the way. Moving at incredible speed, the beast was already near Jaren, ready to strike. Jaren had to react quickly to avoid being fairly hit. The monster's hand was powerful enough to destroy his improvised staff. The beast's attack broke through his defense, landing a blow on his stomach. Not stopping there, the king was already preparing to deliver a kick. But as the attack was interrupted, Chulking had caught him in a body lock. The beast's feet dug into the ground, tearing up the pavement. Even as Chulking pushed him back, he realized the situation was worsening. The Horn Horror King grabbed him with both hands. With no effort, the king lifted him off the ground. Then he slammed Chulking into the earth, creating a massive crater. If there was one thing they didn't have now, it was time. Two geniuses who would eventually grow to reach the full extent of their potential. But in the current situation, maybe they wouldn't. Even if they could use everything they knew. There was a vast gap that couldn't be bridged. Jaren rose, staggering, yelling at the monster not to do it. With his attention focused on the boy, the king prepared another attack. The red blow of its aura was nearly upon him. Jaren took the hit head-on, unable to defend. With that, the beast seemed to have fulfilled its desire to strike. However, it felt something else was still happening. A far more dangerous presence than the king was now in the battlefield. Nike had already fallen and Seong still labored in the hospital. Before he disappeared, not many people knew him. Now the monster was utterly terrified. There is no one in this world who can precisely explain what Seong left behind. 11 years ago, much happened. A man made an unexpected confession to the press. He admitted all his wrongdoings and begged the public for forgiveness. That event shocked the entire world. 12 hours before the boys engaged in their battle with the monsters, Serum had been deep in confusion. The truth she learned on Sunday was the only thing on her mind. She spent the next few days researching Jaring's father and whether he had been unjustly accused. She asserted many people coveted the position of someone who was once number one but had now lost his powers. What she couldn't understand was how the situation was handled. It started with multiple accusations, the testimony of victims and the building of the case. Public opinion became divided, but because he was popular. The forged information didn't completely tarnish his image. If it had been her, she would have fought back to the end. But what Seong did? Rather than fighting back, he accepted all the accusations made against him. After the press conference, even his supporters turned their backs on him and Seong became a liar overnight. She doesn't understand why he did that and if there was something coercing him. Accepting the charges was like throwing fuel on the fire. She wasn't sure if she was the only one who noticed, but there was something in his facial expressions. Instead of looking wrong, it was as if he was accepting the consequences. Then she came across something even more shocking. In his records, there was no mention of him having a family. She wondered if Jarong wasn't really his son. But it made more sense that he just wasn't officially registered, as they did resemble each other somewhat. Maybe Seong had accepted all those accusations. Because Jarong was somehow involved, and at this moment, Jarong didn't even realize. What was really happening to his body? He looked at his hand and felt something different. The beast charged at him furious. Its advance was relentless. It knew it needed to finish the boy. And in the face of this, there was one thing Jaren knew for sure now. His body could move. His reaction was perfect, landing a strike on the monster's face. Nothing more, nothing less. All he needed to know now was that he could still move. And he was determined to destroy the monster in front of him. Using his skills, he began to strike it repeatedly. The pressure was immense and the monster did everything it could to defend itself. He tried to move and escape from Jarong's relentless attacks. Jarong knew the creature wouldn't get far. And then the beast's counterattack came at him. Although the monster's aura was powerful, it wasn't fast enough to stop Jarong from dodging. However, the beast had anticipated this, and now it was airborne, directly above him. With the beast close, it unleashed yet another attack. It didn't take long for it to be surprised by the outcome. The attack had failed to harm the boy. Jarong immediately retaliated with a violent kick. The force of the impact was so great that the beast was sent crashing into the nearest building. Jarong knew the fight wasn't over yet. But with those last two strikes, he had managed to expose a weakness in the creature. A precise strike to the chin with his needle. In his current state, it was possible to land that blow. But just as the mysterious aura had appeared, it vanished once more. This was the worst possible moment for it to disappear. The monster crawled out of the crater it had made. Jarong felt anxious. The energy that had been coursing through his body was now gone. There was nothing left for him to defend against the incoming attack. As the beast continued its charge, it noticed something. The truck's container was falling directly on its head. The beast was struck, but there's a reason why explorers have distinct roles. Each one is suited to a specific function. The impact from the container wasn't enough to stop the beast. It charged for a Chulking, utterly enraged. Unable to dodge, Chulking defended himself the best he could. The blow was incredibly powerful. But as a tank, even with his body battered, he endured. That's the primary role of a tank. However, he had been far beyond his limits for a while. Still, his resilience bought them just a bit more time. Jarong was now ready to deliver his best attack. The monster knew it couldn't avoid what was coming. Jarong's fist charged with aura closed and swiftly, a perfectly executed uppercut connected with the creature's chin. That was the role of someone whose job was to deal damage. Debris scattered across the area. On the ground lay the beast's lifeless body, his jaw shattered. A monster transport vehicle had been stolen. As a result, there were dozens of civilian casualties. After all of this had transpired, the rescue team finally arrived. It didn't take long for the news to spread worldwide. The heroic feat of those two, now labeled as heroes, quickly gained recognition. Carvalino watches the video. Unsure of what's happening. The house has a large garden surrounding it. A young Jarong had scraped himself and his wound was being treated. His father told him that even small wounds must be treated. Otherwise, they could worsen later. Jarong asked that his father ever felt pain since he bled a lot when fighting monsters. His father replied that not only did he feel pain, but he also felt fear. But he tried his best to hide his pain because his job was to keep others from getting hurt. As a child, Jarong's greatest wish was to be like his father. But there was always something in his mind. He knew his father didn't want the same for him. His father had told him to find another career and always seemed sorrowful when they discussed the topic. Perhaps that's why. Why didn't want Jarong to follow the path of an explorer? But they never spoke about it openly. Jarong thought that once he grew up, his father would explain the reason. But now he couldn't do that anymore. Jarong's eyes opened and he stared at the unusual ceiling. There was something about the feeling that made him feel nostalgic. A figure beside him asked if those words were directed at him. Startled, Jarong looked to the side. Zeke stood there saying that Jarong was only here now because it was determined. Jarong wanted to know why the director was there keeping him company. As soon as he sat up, pain shot through his entire body and Zeke told him not to move too much. Despite the treatment being successful, he should be in a coma due to the extent of his injuries and it would take him a month to fully recover. Until then, Zeke advised him to focus on healing because there was much to prepare for. The boy thanked him, saying it was the right thing to do, but he had something to say. Zeke cut him off, stating that if it was about his father, yes, they knew each other and had worked together. Jarong moved his hand quickly. So fast that it made Zeke focus on him. But Jarong only took the apple Zeke was holding. Seeing Zeke's expression, he asked if Zeke thought he was going to hit him or something. Zeke replied that it wasn't the reaction he was expecting. The boy says he doesn't know what Zeke's expectations are, but he just wanted to know if he knew his father or not. Judging by the difference in how Zeke is treating him now, he suspects they were more than just colleagues. Holding the apple, he takes a deep breath.